Good morning, everyone. Keith here from Barn Hill Bee Barn. Welcome to my Starting Beekeeping series. I hope to help you make several critical decisions on your way to beekeeping in 2025. Whatever pointed you to beekeeping, whether it was to save the bees, a hobby, making honey, or a combination of these, you have a lot of things to learn and decisions to make before you start purchasing bees or boxes. It would be nice if it was so easy that you could just go out and Amazon or Temu and buy some boxes, throw them out in the backyard, bees move into them, and you're on your way. It just doesn't work out that way. Let's learn how to care for them, which includes feeding, watering, pest control, as well as the box types to purchase for their home before you worry about getting bees. Spend this winter learning about bees. Beekeeping for Dummies is a great way to start. Watch as many YouTube videos based in your area if possible as you can. I have a few listed on my channel to start with. Just click on About or More at the top of my channel. Watch the other videos in this series to learn about the hardware, tools, bee suit, feeding, ordering bees, and best pest control basics. First thing you need to do is decide how many hives you want to start with. It's recommended that you start with 2 hives because a beginning beekeeper has about a 50% loss rate. So if you only start with 1 hive, then you end up with nothing. If you start with 2 and you have 1 die, then in the spring you can do splits to refill that one, or you can just buy another nuke. But it's always good to have 2 to compare between the 2. You can move frames between the 2 to kind of balance them, keep them to shore up the weak hives, but it's a whole lot easier to do it with 2 hives. Then you need to determine what type of boxes you need to order. My hardware video is next, and it goes into a lot of detail on the hardware that you need to get. Then you need to prepare a site and get your boxes ordered, prepared, and your first box set up and everything ready to go before spring. Spring here is in March. You can't, if you order nukes and packages, usually it's May before you get them, but you need to have them ready to go, set up and everything before March. The key is training, training, training. Watch a lot of videos on starting up beekeeping, on pest control. You can't overlearn. You may reach a point of over information. Just take a break. Watch some of the other videos on harvesting honey, stuff like that. But the more you learn, the better off you'll be when you get your bees next year. You'll need to pre-order nukes in the fall, or packages if you decide to go that way. Otherwise, that's the only way you can guarantee that you'll actually get them in early May or late March. You need to order them locally. Local bees are already climatized for your environment. Don't order them online. Find a local beekeeper or a local club. Find a reputable seller. Don't just get them online. You're not going to end up with what you want. Next would be you need to pick a site in your yard, or if you have a place you're going to place an apiary. It needs to be big enough for at least the 2 hives that you can walk around all the way. When you do inspections, you need to be able to get in the boxes, set boxes off, set new boxes on. You need to have room to work around your hives. You don't want to do it from the front because bees really don't like it when you do things from the front of the box. You're blocking their flight path, and the guard bees might mistake you for a predator and set off the alarm pheromone, and they might start attacking you. So don't ever work your bees from the front. Prepare the site. The site needs to be as flat as possible because your beehives need to be flat or tilting forward just a little bit so condensation will run out the front. They need to be facing south or southeast if possible. It's not mandatory. I have some facing east. That generates some additional changes, but They need to be in full sun if possible, facing the morning sun. That gets your bees off to an early start. I have a lot of flowers in my yard that only bloom in the morning, and by noon, the blooms are closed up. So if the bees aren't out first thing in the morning, those flowers do nothing. The native bee loves them. Should be 20 feet or so from your traffic areas in your yard. I set mine up straight in line with my back door. Figured out pretty quick that was a bad idea because everybody that run out the back door, especially my grandson, disturbed the bees. So think about these things. Put something in front of the hive that will cause them to fly up and over it. That will keep bees from running straight into people that are walking around in your yard. A privacy fence is recommended around your bee yard. This will also make them fly up 20 feet or so in the air and then out to forage. Keeps them out of your neighbor's yard and their pool and their bird bath, things like that. And they may never even know you have them. I don't know if my neighbors even know I've had mine, and I've had them for over a year. Prepare the ground under and around your hives. Clear the weeds and the grass. It's good to place landscape fabric under your hives and around the area where you'll be servicing them. And then you can put stuff like mulch, pea gravel. Pea gravel's more preferred because the mulch, the larvae that drop out of the front from pests and ants will like to make little farms and pupate and grow, and the pea gravel will kind of slow that down. You can also put grub X around the ground around your hives, and that will also help control larvae from pupating in the ground around your hive. It's good for get rid of Japanese beetles that they won't bother your hive, but they'll eat your plants. Then put your stands up in the middle of the fabric. I have metal plates that I had from other equipment that I laid down under mine, which gave them a nice firm foundation. You want to make sure they're nice and solid on the ground so that the wind won't tip them over, the rain won't soften the ground for them to fall over. The next thing you need to think about is storage. You're going to have a lot of bee equipment, your suit, your smoker, your tools, your smoker fuel, your empty boxes and spare boxes. You'll need to figure out what you're going to do with them. I use little plastic totes that the frames and stuff will fit in, and then I just stack the empty boxes up. Look around in your area. You need to see what kind of food is available for in your area for your bees to feed on. Drive around in your area. They'll feed up to 3 miles. So you want to look around at what farmland might be around, kind of figure out what they might be spraying, when they spray. Ask other beekeepers. You can look up online what resources are available in your area. You can plant trees. Trees are the most effective resource for the bees because you'll have thousands of flowers on this tree instead of the 30 or 40 or a couple of hundred of if you plant flowers around your house. You need to have at least a half acre of one flower in order for the bees to even be interested in it. It can take 1 to 3 acres of a flower for them to feed on it the entire time. I plant 2 or 3 things, so I have flowers blooming at different times during the year. Crimson clover. I'm going to plant buckwheat next year. White clover is great. It's a summer blooming plant. Most of the trees in the area will provide your spring flowers and food, nectar, pollen. The most difficult is the fall pollen, late summer pollen and nectar. You might look at coming up with something to help in that case, or you'll have to feed them. The next thing you need to do is provide a water source. If there's no lakes or ponds or rivers running through your property, the bees will go to the closest water source they can find. If that's your neighbor's kiddie pool, neighbor's dog dish, swimming pool, that's where they'll go, and you won't be able to stop them. You need to provide them a good water source in your yard. I built a little 5-foot pond, about a foot deep, and they love it. You can put large bird feeders out. You just got to keep them full of water. Large automatic pet watering jugs are a good idea. But you need to provide a water source in your yard to keep them from going to your neighbor's yard. Keep the neighbors happy. Your first year, you'll have to feed a lot because when you get your bees, they won't have much resources. They'll rely upon you until they find a source of nectar and start bringing it home and putting it up. So you'll need to feed 1-to-1 sugar water most of your first year to get your bees to build out frames, to store up water for the winter. You won't be able to harvest any honey most likely. You can't harvest honey when you've been feeding. So your first year is usually done solely building up frame. I had 2 hives this year. They built out my base brood boxes, started building a little bit on the honey frames, but I know they won't ever put up any honey. It's already August. They're not going to put up any honey. I prefer the top feeders. Never buy front feeders because they're an invitation for robbing. The bees will smell it right up there in the entrance. They'll find it. They'll see that there's a lot of honey stores upstairs, and they'll go home and tell their hive that I found a great source for nectar and honey. Come back with me, and they'll clean out your hive. I love the Burns feeder from Honeybees Online. It's a great feeder. If you've seen in my other videos where I made my own based on his feeder. You put 1 or 2 mason jars on top. They can be pints or quarts. And you can service them without disturbing your bees, which is the great part. You just take the lid off, take a jar out, refill it, put it back on, put the lid on. I do it without even sitting up. It's a great idea. If you put an internal feeder, they make plenty that you pull a frame out and place a feeder inside the frame. But to do that, you have to take honey supers off if you have any. Hopefully you're not feeding with honey supers on. Take your lid off and feed them internally, which means you need to at least put your veil and gloves on. With the top feeder, you don't have to do that. They make several other types of top feeder in my hardware recommendations. A couple of the kits come with top feeders. I don't like them because if you have the feeder full and you have to do an inspection for something, then you've got all that feed in the top feeder that you have to deal with when you set it off to do your inspection. You'll need an extra empty box to set over your top feeder if you're going to use a top feeder. The next thing you'll need are tools. Start with the basics. Don't just start buying queen raising tools and all the fancy tools and stuff. You're not going to need all that stuff your first year. You're going to need a hive tool, a good smoker. Spend the money to buy a good smoker with shield around it. I'll describe all that when I do my tools video, which is probably going to be the third one. Smoker fuel. There's lots of choices out there on fuel. Watch a bunch of other videos. I use pine shavings to start mine, and I just got some switchgrass pellets, and I kind of like them because I don't smell like smoke as bad as I do with just pine shavings. People use grass, pine needles, pine bark, regular smoker pellets, grill pellets, stuff like that. David Burns uses burlap. A lot of other people use burlap. I used only the pine shavings for my first year, and then I found these switchgrass pellets, and I kind of like them. I've just used them for a couple of weeks, but they seem to be pretty nice. You might want a bee brush. Doing your inspections, sometimes it's a little difficult to see what bees are on the frames. See if there's eggs or larvae. You don't really want to shake them because you can kill the larvae, knock the eggs out, and then they're dead. You have to start over. So if you brush them off with a bee brush, then you can see what's going on. You can blow on them and they'll move out of the way, but it's not recommended because the CO2, the bees are attracted to it, and you might get a little more attention than you want while you're in there. A 3-layer ventilated bee suit. I highly recommend that this is another area that you spend the money. Don't go to Amazon or Temu and buy that $30 bee suit. You'll regret it. Your first year, you really need a good ventilated 3-layer suit with ventilated 3-layer gloves if possible. You can get just a jacket and use your blue jeans or pants, but you're going to get stung through the blue jeans and pants. I haven't been stung in over a year, and I use my 3-layer suit. Yes, it's hot in the summer, but I'd rather be hot than be stung. Wear gloves. I use the gloves that pull up over your elbow that are ventilated. I don't get stung. The leather gloves are a little more difficult to work with, but after you come accustomed to inspecting your bees, you'll get a little more comfortable. You can probably move to the little plastic gloves. I recommend a 5mm. It's going to be hard to find, but find the 5mm thick plastic gloves. You can wear them. That will help protect your fingers and still give you the feeling sensation to lift your frames out of your hives. I recommend boots. The first thing I found out is the bees will find your ankles. That's where I got stung the first time, twice within about 2 minutes. I wore tennis shoes and ankle socks, and they ate my ankles up. I wear boots, and I wear over-the-calf socks, and then my bee suit goes over the top of the boots, and I don't get stung anymore. If you don't want to get stung, wear your protective gear. Don't go out there, especially your first year, without somebody with you, because if you are allergic, it's an emergency situation and you need someone there with you. I really recommend that you work with another beekeeper, get your first sting or two in, find out if you're allergic, and take appropriate action, EpiPen or whatever. Bee stings are relieved some by liquid Benadryl, works pretty good. I've also heard antacids for some reason help. I use a cortisone cream that I put on bee stings. Of course, I haven't had one in over a year, but you will get stung, especially your first year. You will get stung. You'll go out there to check your bees, and they'll be exceptionally angry, and you'll get bit. So just be prepared. Like I said, I do recommend that you go out with another beekeeper to get your first sting in. Find out if you're allergic. Be prepared in case it's an emergency that you can get treatment quickly. Most people, it just swells up a little bit, hurts for 3 or 4 days, itches for another 3 or 4 days, but then it goes away. Some people don't even get the swelling or itching. Mine weren't too bad, but I still wear my full suit. I will change my sugar water without my suit because they're in the top of the box and the bees can't get to me. And I've gotten accustomed to working them, and I guess they've gotten used to me. But this is the information that you need to think of. Point you in the direction of training this first winter before you get your hives and bees. Do the research. Go watch some videos on starting beekeeping, pest control, the life cycle of the bee. You need to know those things so you know how to deal with your bees their first year. If you'll stay tuned for my next video, it's on hardware boxes that you'll need to consider. Several options that give some pricing. And then the video after that is going to be the tools of the trade. So stick around, subscribe, like my videos, share them with your friends, and come back and watch some more. Thanks for watching.